Hello again. In this session, we'll be discussing generational dynamics affecting the workforce and your customer needs. As you listen through this unit, keep in mind how you interact with each other and why. And as you work with your customers, are you making it harder or easier for them to want to do business with you? What are some things that you can adapt differently? So let's dive in. When we talk about generations, name 5 influencers that form a generational category. Do you know what those 5 influencers are? Take a quick minute, shut off the recorder, and take time with your partner. List those 5. As you come back, let's look at those 5 influencers that form generations. Adversity crisis, diversity, economy, technology, and complexity. Why does it matter? Because the historical events during a generation's childhood years do matter in that it shapes their values, worldview, and definitions of success. Currently, there are 5 generations in the workforce. As of 2017, the latest Pew Research shows that from 1994 to 2017, the workforce has changed in this manner. Currently, we have only about 2% of the workforce who are known as traditionalists or silents or the greatest generation. They are ages 75 and up. Such workforces usually include people in the insurance industry, real estate industry, farming, independent business owners, and government and politics. 25% of the current workforce consists of boomers who are retiring every day. Boomers are ages 56 through 74. Gen Xers comprise of about 33% of the workforce, being ages 40 to 55. Millennials comprise 35% of the workforce, ages 21 to 39. And Gen Ys, ages 11 to 25, are youngest ones in the workforce right now. So what are some projected statistics regarding millennials and Zs? Well, experts predict that by 2020, millennials will make up 35% of the global workforce, with Gen Z making up 24%. While the research isn't completely in yet from this year, yet these are the projected statistics. And millennials, by 2025, the hyper-connected, tech-savvy generation of millennials will make up 75% of the global workforce. Wow! By 2025, Gen Z will grow to become the largest generation at 29% of the population. So a thought to consider. When you consider the generations in the workforce and the generations who are your customers, what specific things can you and your company do to make it easier for current and future customers to want to do business with you? Keep it in the background of your mind as we continue to talk through this unit, and at the end, let's have a discussion. Here are the generations in the workforce. We said the traditionals, from 1925 to 1945 are the birth dates. Currently, they are 75 to 90 plus years in age. They were the people that grew up with Sky King on the radio. Then we have the baby boomers who grew up with the Partridge Family. They were born from 1946 to 64, currently are ages 56 to 74. Next we have the Xers. The Xers were known for watching the originals of the Brady Bunch. Xers were born from 1965 to 1980. Their current ages are about ages 40 to 55. Then we have the Millennials, or sometimes known as the Y generation. They grew up from 1981 to 1995 to 99. They grew up with Full House and watching the original runs of Full House. Currently, their ages are 21 through 39. And then we have the Gen Zs who grew up with the Shrek movies. They were born in 1995 to around 2009. Their current ages are approximately 11 to 25. Now you will see some overlap between the millennials and the Gen Zs, as various social scientists have categorized them slightly differently. As we go through this, some of you will remember that you are probably cuspers. You are on the fringe of 2 different generations, and you can identify with older siblings. Various ones in history are cuspers, and maybe you are one of them. So listen to some of the characteristics on each side of your birth date. Let's put a spotlight on the traditionalists. Let's start with them. Traditionalists, the GI generation, the silent generation, the greatest generation, were born from 1925 to 45. Currently, their ages are 75 to 95. Some of the prominent people in that generation were Phil Donahue, Sandra Day O'Connor, Martin Luther King Jr., Robert Kennedy, Marilyn Monroe, Clint Eastwood, and Elvis Presley, and many more. Some times of adversity and crisis that they lived through: the Great Depression, World War II, Pearl Harbor, Hiroshima and the atom bomb, the Korean War. Some technology and inventions from that generation: microwaves, and I'm not talking about microwave ovens. I'm talking about the microwaves that go through the air. Acrylic fiber or Orlon replaced wool for carpets. Television, drive-through restaurants, and drive-through banks. Their pop culture consisted of Maxwell House radio comedy, The Lone Ranger and Sky King, Casablanca as a movie, The Honeymooners, Little Rascals, and the extended family lived around each other. Some characteristics and behaviors of traditionalists are that they are typically disciplined, loyal team members. They work within the system. They are very respectful of authority, patient and follow the rules. They have a vast knowledge of legacy to share. They embody a traditional work ethic. Their values are a penny saved is a penny earned, and they sacrifice for the common good. What is their attitude toward work? For a traditionalist, work is duty. Let's put a spotlight on the boomers and let's look at them. Some of the baby boomers that you would know would be Oprah Winfrey, or Bill Gates, as you see on his picture, Steve Jobs, Donald Trump, George W. Bush, Bill Clinton, and Barack Obama, John Travolta, Michael Jackson, and Madonna. All are baby boomers. Some times of adversity and crisis that they lived through: the Vietnam War, the building of the Berlin Wall. JFK and Martin Luther King Jr. were assassinated. Kent State happened. Watergate happened. Roe versus Wade went into effect. Technology and inventions during their time: credit cards, mobile phones, the polio vaccine, the hard disk drive, and putting a man on the moon. Pop culture for baby boomers: Father Knows Best, I Love Lucy, the Beatles, Marilyn Monroe, the hippies in Woodstock, anti-war demonstrations, Laugh-In, Suburbs and Yuppies, the Partridge Family, and now a nuclear versus an extended family, where families no longer lived next to each other. They started moving away, and a family consisted of just the nuclear family. Characteristics and behaviors of boomers: optimistic and ambitious and very competitive. They focus on their personal accomplishments. They believe in working long hours and expect a younger generation to adopt the same approach. They have ruled the workplace for years. They are comfortable in a culture that they created. And so because of that, their values are known for who we are is what we do. You can hardly separate an entity from their job when you're talking to a boomer. And for a boomer, customer service is number one. They invented customer service and they want customer service. With that, their attitude toward work is to live to work. Let's put a spotlight on Gen Xers and let's look at them. Gen Xers, born from 1965 to 79, some people you might remember: Princess Di, Michael Jordan, Sergey Brin and Larry Page from Google, Jerry Yang from Yahoo, Julia Roberts, Tom Cruise, John Bon Jovi. Some times of adversity and crisis: for them it was Jonestown in Guyana, or the Iran hostage crisis, HIV/AIDS epidemic, the Space Shuttle Challenger explosion, the fall of the Berlin Wall, the Gulf War, parental credit card debt, and parental job layoffs. Technology and inventions during their time, the internet came of age. Personal computers such as Apple II and Commodore 64. The MS-DOS system and most software was developed during this time. Compact discs. As we look at the Xers, pop culture latchkey kids, they grew up with someone taking care of them after school in a school setting. Sesame Street, the Rubik's Cube, Atari and Pac-Man, Star Wars, Brady Bunch, and Friends. With that, characteristics and behaviors of Gen Xers, they witnessed job insecurity and parents being laid off. They redefined loyalty, not remaining loyal to a company. They committed to their work and people they worked with, but they were skeptical and risk takers. They wanted fun in the workplace, and they sought more work-life balance. And so with that, their values, they grew up learning to work smarter, not harder, fewer hours, greater output, and being very resourceful. They learned to deal with life, live with uncertainty, and value time. They learned to deal with conflict on their own. They learned that who I am is not what I do, two separate things. And so with that, their attitude towards work, we see from social science that Xers' attitude is that they work to live. Millennials. Let's put a spotlight on millennials, or sometimes known as Gen Ys. As we look at millennials born from 1980 to 1994, some prominent people, the Austrian Chancellor Sebastian Kurz, Prince William and Kate, Mark Zuckerberg, Carrie Underwood, Venus and Serena Williams. Some times of adversity and crisis from this generation, Desert Storm, Waco siege, the O.J. Simpson case, the Oklahoma City bombing, the death of Princess Di, the Clinton impeachment trial, Columbine massacre, the Y2K uncertainties, September 11th and Osama bin Laden, and the student loan crisis. Technology and inventions from this generation, personal cell phones, DVDs, downloadable content, remote control, Bluetooth, Skype, Instant Messenger, Nintendo Wii, Twitter, Facebook, social networking. Pop culture for Gen Ys and millennials, Cosby Show, Full House. They grew up with Barney when they were little kids. They grew up with Ninja Turtles, Beanie Babies, Happy Meals with a toy, video gaming, reality TV, and social networking. Characteristics and behaviors for Gen Ys and millennials, typically very team-oriented. They work well in groups as opposed to individual endeavors. They're used to tackling multitasks with equal energy. They expect to work hard, and they're good multitaskers. They can juggle many activities because they had to while they were growing up. That brings us to values. Values for Gen Ys and millennials, according to social scientists, are technology can fix anything, and right and wrong is situational. So when you look at Gen Ys and millennials, their attitude toward work, live and then work. Let's go back to the idea of cuspers. Some of you, as you're listening, are hearing yourself on different sides of generations because you grow up with older siblings. On the fringe of two generations were those cuspers, and some of you are a cusper. So what is the newest generations that are coming into the workforce, and who are they? Gen Z. And as you look at a spotlight, let's look at Gen Zs. What are some things we know about Gen Zs? There are 2 billion of them. What are the countries with the largest numbers of Gen Z populace? When we look at it, it's India has the largest numbers of Gen Z population, China, and then Indonesia. The US ranks fourth in having a Gen Z population. And in the world, there are 1.9 billion. Currently, they are ages 11 through 25. They are a large group to deal with. And they are coming in to your workforce, and they are coming in as your customers. Born from 1995 to 2009, some prominent people in the Gen Z generation would be Katniss Everdeen. She's not even a real person, but known in the movie The Hunger Games. Then there's Kendall Jenner, who's done business on her own, a self-made entrepreneur, and Reese Blutstein, who you may not know the name, an Atlanta social media star, a fashion blogger. A double 3timesexposure.com is her website. Now, why am I saying this? Because social media on YouTube is what the Gen Z will watch. They're not so much into Hollywood as they are into YouTube. Adversity and crisis. What are some things they lived through? They lived through the 2005 London bombings, the 2005 Hurricane Katrina, the Great Economic Recession of 2008, the Beijing Olympics of 2008, the death of Michael Jackson, and in 2010, the ash from the volcanic eruptions in Iceland that brought traffic in Europe to a standstill. Some technology and inventions during their time: the wireless technology, MP3s, plasma screens, iPhones, iPods. Their pop culture was the movie Shrek, High Five TV series, Discovery Kids, Hunger Game movies, reality TV contest shows, YouTube over Hollywood, and taking selfies. What are some of the characteristics and behaviors of Gen Zs? They have never known a world without the internet, cell phones, or iPods. They are geared to social justice, philanthropy, and are known to be very frugal. They have an on-demand economy that creates an expectation of immediacy, such as Netflix, Uber, or Deliveroo. They communicate in spurts of shorter but more frequent bursts of information, and they crave constant and immediate feedback. Some other characteristics and behaviors of Gen Zs: they are more risk averse. They are more competitive and financially driven. They prefer talking face to face. And they are multitaskers. They are not bound by work schedules. They will work anywhere, anytime, and across devices. They prefer YouTube, Snapchat, and Instagram, not Facebook. They want to make a difference with their world and the companies they choose to work for. The values they bring: frugality, social justice, and philanthropy. As we look at Gen Zs, they have quite a few qualities. I would encourage you to look up information about them as they come into your workforce and as they become your customers. The attitude toward work with Gen Zs: work needs to flex to individual lifestyles, willing to work anywhere, anytime, and across devices. And that brings us to the newest generation. Who are they? Coming soon to a workplace near you, the Alpha generation. This generation currently are newborns through age 10. They are still children, so we don't know a whole lot about them yet, but you will see them on the horizon, known as the Alpha generation. And that brings us to workplace strengths. While many times we think of the differences among generations, there are absolutely strengths. Traditionalists: they bring history, loyalty, dedication, sacrifice, and they're team players, willing to work long hours to get things done. They have industry expertise. Baby boomers bring leadership, systems they've put into place, customer service, and also team orientation. They love to mentor. They're willing to work long hours and stay late, and they bring a vast amount of industry knowledge. Gen Xers bring efficiency and innovation. They are tech-savvy, goal-oriented, self-reliant, have the ability to problem solve and manage conflict. They are adaptable. They work in or out of office to balance life. Their ambition is to generate revenue. Gen Ys or millennials are very tech-savvy and confident. They bring fresh ideas and perspectives. They use social media to leverage opportunities. They bring enthusiasm and potential, and they love to learn. So when we look at marketing and service needs, what specific things can you and your company do to make it easier for current and future customers to want to do business with you? Take a few minutes and consider all the things that we've talked about through this unit. Generations bring strength. Generations also bring change. With that, what specific things can you do to make it easier for them to want to bring and do business with you? And that brings us to the key for this unit. Lead to serve connection is equal to your emotional intelligence quotient plus your cultural quotient. It's about learning, understanding, and adapting to continual change. And as you do, make it fun. Have any questions or want to share some insights? We'd love to hear from you. Contact us at 816-617-4825 or email me at Kathleen@RandallResourcesInt'l.com. Bye for now.